Okay, it's Wednesday, August 24th, about 7:30 in the morning, so an hour before the open. Just going to analyze what's developing here pre-market and quickly just summarize what we were discussing on the SPY in the last videos. I don't want to go over that too much. You can look at some of the videos I made in the last few days to see all the different scenarios I was pointing out, the main one being that this was a potential momentum shooter bar for continuation lower. After 2 days down, we had a big pause day yesterday, but it really closed near the bottom. So it shows that some of the patient buyers are still kind of waiting lower. That's what it tends to show you, or at least it show you the aggressive buyers didn't step in as price was heading up at the moment anyway. And we also on the weekly chart have a target down to this low and this low that we haven't reached yet, that it looks like high probability we're getting there. Until this week really, closes and changes, it's hard to get comfortable on the long side for any sustainability. So watch the previous videos if you want to hear more about all that. But in the meantime, what you have here is a pre-market action opening kind of sideways near the lows overnight, and then pre-market we're starting to rally a little bit here as we get closer and closer to the open. So if you again watch some of those old videos, you'll see the way I talk about whatever we end up, maybe within an hour from now we'll come down a little bit and we'll have a clear hot low and a high up here, and at that point we're going to want to see the opening price action, whichever way it goes. Clearly take out the highs there to have an up bias on the day, and clearly take out the lows. Yesterday there was an example where the intraday high and low was kind of in here, and we took out the high for a second. We didn't hold up there, and we came down. We took out the lows, and we didn't hold below there, and we kind of so there was no sustainability to the trend. Although since the trend was down overall, we were using that opportunity to take out the highs and the pre-market highs and fail to go short, and that was really the trade of the day. So we're setting up the same kind of thing today, although we do have a little bit of a different look as it's rallying. But to me, it's at the moment it's rallying just to you could see here the halfway point of yesterday approximately. So again, we could be in a scenario depending where this ends up where we just barely take out that high and don't follow through higher, and then start down in line with this momentum shooter to the downside. So look for that kind of an opening price action to get short, but we'll have to see if we keep strong here towards the open. The other possibility is you are reversing. This is not a momentum bar at all, and we actually start up above the midpoint, have a strong open above both the midpoint of yesterday and whatever pre-market highs they are, a big green bar. And at that point, you're in a little bit of conflict in the sense that the daily trend of the day might be up, but you're still, this weekly trend until you get past the open of the week turning green, which is really yesterday's close. Yesterday's open, then you're still red on the week, and you could be in conflict. So it's a type of day where if you do have a strong opening for some reason and you want to play it, just based on the opening price action, 15-minute bar green, and then following through higher, maybe on the next 15-minute bar, and it's happening before you reach yesterday's high, then you want to play that saying, okay, I'm going to get in here and I want to play that 2 up. That's going to be my first target. And then if we get a 2 up and that kind of holds on the day, we're into this gap. Then you kind of, let's say it's a big green bar, then you see if you get continuation higher to turn the weekly trend around. Although actually, let me repeat that, because if you get a 2 up here, now that I'm thinking about it, if you get a green bar here that turns into a green up, a 2 up bar, then you're going to turn the weekly bar green temporarily. So that's a possibility. Okay. So in other words, if we get a strong opening here, you could play it anticipating that you're going to, that's the target. And if you reach that target, which is right near the open, you're going to turn the weekly chart green. So maybe things are just, they came down for 2 days, they didn't reach their target, and we're going to have a reversal on the week and close strong Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's possible, but we're not anywhere near that yet until we see how this opens. So let's just watch how that happens. Again, I'm going to be keying on whatever this overnight, pre-market high and low is, and how the opening price action relates to it, with still a bias to the downside unless you get some kind of strong opening. Another possibility, since this is a small bar, if it does start up, for example, and then looks like it's gonna, but can take out yesterday's high or yesterday's open, and then reverses and comes back to the halfway point of this bar, that would be a good sell to continue the momentum. So in other words, if you get a strong up and you try to play it and it reaches that high of yesterday, and it goes through it, and then and then it comes all the way down quickly, and you have to take a small loss. If it reaches back to the halfway point of this bar, then look for these lows to be taken out, and that'll be a sign of like a 2-up failure. So a bunch of things to kind of consider, but as I'm still enjoying right now the downside bias and the fact that we're rallying a little bit, because I prefer that versus a big gap down where it would be hard to get in where a lot of the movement would happen pre-market. So let's see what happens. Hope that was clear. If you want to look back at the previous videos, you'll get more of a feeling on my bigger picture views of where the SPY is going and what we're looking for as the month comes to an end. But for now, let's just see how this pre-market action, where it ends up an hour from now, what kind of highs and lows it sets up, and then again, watch the opening. And, there's definitely a bunch of, if this happens, then do that kind of scenarios, depending on that, first 15-minute bar.